In the Channel 7 newsroom with an explanation of what went on today. Cheryl?
Well, Bill, Kathy Volson Curry is the daughter of Juanita Clark, and that's the mayor's sister. The mayor is very close to his sister, and sources close to him say that his niece has broken his heart many times. She has had a problem with drugs and with keeping the wrong kind of company. But the arrest today was related to the federal investigation into the Detroit Police Department Secret Service Fund. It appears federal officials believe the mayor's niece may have information that they need. Kathy Volson Curry, Coleman Young's niece, appeared to be sedated in court today. She had a hard time staying awake, even while talking to the magistrate. The charge is contempt of court. She failed to show up to testify before the federal grand jury. That grand jury is investigating alleged misuse of money from the Detroit Police Department Secret Service Fund. But today wasn't the first time Kathy Volson broke a date with the feds. After receiving her subpoena a week ago, she set up a meeting at a Detroit liquor store and never showed up for that either. Federal officials refuse to say exactly what they want from Miss Volson Curry, but it's believed they may be interested in Detroit police protection provided to her a few years back, and whether or not it was paid for out of the Secret Service Fund, a fund earmarked for the war on drugs. The young niece of the mayor has some shady drug connections. She's married to Johnny Curry, who is serving time for dealing drugs, and she reportedly dated white boy Rick Wershey, one of the city's biggest cocaine dealers, before he was sent to prison. Meanwhile, on the contempt charge, she was released on a $20,000 personal bond. She and her lawyer, James McGinnis, had no comment as they left the courthouse today.
Mr. McGinnis, can we just get one quick statement for you?
The mayor also had no comment today through his press secretary, Bob Berg. Meanwhile, Kathy Volson Curry will be back in court on January 10th for a preliminary examination. It will be up to the judge. If she does not testify, A, she can be ordered to testify by given immunity, or she can be put in prison until that grand jury is done sitting, and that could be a year and a half. Reporting live from the newsroom, I'm Cheryl Choden. Back to you, Bill.
Does any of this indicate, Cheryl, or can't we find out at this point, that her name is showing up on documents, or that the checks were made out, or just we can't find out that information at this time?
Right now, of course, is what has come out in court. And I wanted to just say one thing real quickly. Ironically, this is the one-year anniversary of the arrest of Ken Weiner. We were down at federal court that day, and that all had relation to the Secret Service Fund. And, of course, he was arrested on the fraud charges. But any of the documents that have come up in court relating to the Secret Service Fund have not had her name on it. So there is speculation that they want to know about the guard that was provided for her after she received death threats, or whether or not maybe she received some equipment or something that was bought from the Secret Service Fund, maybe by Ken Weiner. Who knows if it's intertwined? But so far, go ahead.
It seems to be a book that just keeps adding chapters, chapters after chapters.
It is amazing, Bill, isn't it? I mean, It just keeps on going. And remember, there have been no indictments so far in the Secret Service Fund investigation, and that could happen sometime after the first of the year.
Okay, Cheryl, thank you very much. Mayor Coleman Young understandably had no comment today on the arrest of this young woman, his niece, and that could be because there's just nothing that he could say about what looks to him like a very sad family situation. Robbie?
Angry baseball fans came out swinging today. They say if Bo Schembechler wants to play hardball over the firing of Ernie Harwell, fine. They plan to beat Bo and Tigers owner Tom Monahan at their own game on their own turf. As Channel 7's Mary Conway reports, they plan to fight them not in the ballpark, but in the financial boardroom, where money is considered the most valuable performer.
The groundswell of support for Ernie Harwell is continuing to grow. More T-shirts hailing his career were unveiled today. And the Tiger Stadium fan club, known for trying to save the old ballpark, finally stepped up to the plate with its plans to fight the dismissal of Mr. Harwell.
Would like fans to boycott opening day and to join us for a public demonstration of support for Ernie Harwell outside the stadium on that day. We would like them to bring their radios along. We will listen to the game, but we are not going to enter.
The Stadium Fan Club also wants fans to boycott all Domino's products and to write letters to municipalities trying to block Domino's or the Tigers from receiving any public funding.
Our whole point is to make certain that this new direction changes. The new direction is obviously away from the people. It's away from the voice of the people, and it's away from the turf of the people. Ernie Harwell is the people's voice. Tiger Stadium is the people's turf.
They say if Tigers owner Tom Monahan doesn't respect tradition, he should sell the team to someone who does.
He had the most trusted and beloved person in the state of Michigan, Ernie Harwell. He had an historic, beautiful ballpark, Tiger Stadium, and he had a relationship between the fans and the team that is unequaled in baseball or in any other sport.
Others are targeting WJR Radio for the decision to terminate Harwell's contract. Station administrators were not available to comment on reports that a number of advertisers have yanked planned commercials because of the Harwell decision. Insiders estimate the advertising boycott could run into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. They say the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, now Ernie's fans are hoping their dollars are more powerful than the axe that fell on Mr. Harwell. From Tiger Stadium in downtown Detroit, I'm Mary Conway, Channel 7 Action News, reporting.
And the ever-humble Ernie is having a tough time believing all this fallout. He says he did not anticipate all the fuss, but will not ask the people who are going to bat for him to call off their boycott.
Well, I think they've got to do what they think's right. I wouldn't make any demands or any requests on my part. I think they've just got to go ahead and do what their own spirit moves them. I really don't like to cause any trouble. I sort of want this thing to go away. I think it's great, and I'm gratified by the reaction and the support and the love and the affection. That's fine, but I want people to know that it's just a situation where a baseball announcer is getting another year and then leaving the ball club, and it's not life and death. And I really feel that we've had an overkill here, and I just don't know what else to say about it.
But in a poll for the Detroit Free Press, 61% of the people strongly disapproved of the decision to dump Ernie after the Tigers' 1991 season.
Yeah, Robbie, forget the fact that Ernie's 72, okay, and forget the fact that somebody wants to go in a new direction. Who are they going to get that's better?
Well, I think that's what everyone is saying. That's all the Tiger fans are saying. I mean, and all across the country, we've heard the same comment. Yeah. He's the best in the country, and and he's proved it year after year after year.
I mean, who's out there that we don't know about that's better? Yeah. I haven't heard. Have you heard any names?
No.
Okay, thanks, Robbie. A dramatic rescue in Colorado saving the life of a little boy who trudged out on thin ice, too thin, and he fell in.
Hurry up, he's been in there for 10 minutes. Go.
Hang on, you go.
10-year-old Mike Graves reported to be in good condition tonight following the plunge into the icy waters of a lake near Denver. He and a pal were walking home from school yesterday, and like little boys do, they decided to take a little shortcut. 10 degrees below zero at the time, Mike fell in. His pal tried to save him, then he fell in, but he managed to drag himself out of that very, very cold water. It was 10 to 15 minutes before the rescuers got to Mike. He says there were times when the cold and tired part of him wanted to give up, but the other part of him wanted to stay alive, and he kept fighting.
Well, I was thinking I was going to drown, but I kept on trying to make it. And then I couldn't make it until I threw out the ladder.
Why did you go across the ice? Hadn't your mom told you about it?
Well, she has, but I've seen other kids walking across it, and if it could hold them, it must have held me. Because there was this one part, and I didn't see any kids go on this other part, so I tried it and fell in.
Mike suffered from hypothermia, but he's recovering well. His mother calls the ordeal an unbelievable kind of a nightmare, and she says she hopes all little kids, boys and girls, learned a good lesson from her boys' flirt with death on thin ice. Mike does know thin ice now. The first day of winter, living up to its cold reputation and name in most of our country today, the storm system dubbed the Yukon Express has people slipping, sliding, shaking, and shivering from Minnesota to, you ready for this one? Southern California. Temperatures bottom out at nearly 50 degrees below zero in Montana. In some places, the wind chill factor made it feel like 80 below. The storm system is being blamed for at least 13 deaths in several states since Tuesday of this week. The Yukon Express is about to knock on our door. Channel 7's Rob Kress will have the complete forecast in just a couple of minutes. It is now 10 minutes after 5. Robbie and I take a break here. Much more news to come this evening. Detroiters are acting fast to make sure that some abused kids who had their Christmas presents stolen still find a gift under the tree come Christmas morning. On the second anniversary of the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103, a Detroit father wants the airline to live up to its responsibility. He is tired of his son being linked to that terrorist attack. Strangers come to the rescue of a little boy whose home was burning down around him. And just ahead, the Yukon Express is headed our way, bringing with it bitter cold temperatures. Rob Kress will step in with Detroit's most accurate forecast when 7's Action News continues in just a moment. We'll be right back.
Become a member of Detroit's #1 news team, Channel 7 Action News. When you see or know of news happening, call the Action News hotline. From your car, Cellular One subscribers dial *7 NEWS. That's *7 NEWS for Cellular One subscribers. Others call the Action News hotline at 827-3677. There are no restrictions. Call from any place, anytime. Michigan's #1 news station, the Channel 7 viewer hotline, *7 NEWS or 827-3677.
The most powerful empire in the world.
The Corleone family, partners with the Pope. They make right, bless them.
The most unforgettable family in the country.
I am your son. You command me as you will.
The most compelling story of our time.
Take what's yours.
Now they'll fear you.
It was not what I wanted! On Christmas Day, Paramount Pictures presents The Godfather Part 3, rated R.
It's simple, Vern. Those ABC warehouse folks can't be running all over town to see who's got the lowest prices. So they guarantee their low prices for life. Not just Thursday, the 2nd, or Friday, the 10th. And if the price tag isn't low enough, ABC will lower it, and you'll pay even less. And that's what that or less means. They'll even give you $1,000 if they can't beat your best deal. It's as simple as ABC. Know what I mean?
Right now at ABC Warehouse, get this RCA Color TV for only $223 or less.
Boyfriends, a subject every teenager and every mother has to deal with. Why are boyfriends so important to teenage girls?
And how can those same teenage girls be happy without boyfriends? We'll talk about it all on the next Kelly and Company.
Then at 10, it's Donahue.
I'm going to cook an Italian Christmas Eve dinner for you.
Make deliciously different holiday meals. Next Donahue.
That's Kelly at 9, Donahue at 10, here on 7.
Reluctantly, I am compelled to ask, is there no sense of tradition, no sense of respect for the season? Wild Crest is wearing a Christmas tie that was designed by Scrooge. I'm not even going to look at it.
No, it's got Santa Claus on it and a reindeer, and look at that. Isn't that a work of art?
A little snow on
That's
it.
really neat.
Santa on the chimney.
That is great art.
I like it.
Great art.
Great.
Yes.
Great art, Rob.
Somebody gave me that tie. Now.
You mean you didn't buy it? You didn't spend money for that?
I'm going to give it back right after I get off the air.
Santa Claus.
That's right. 50 degrees at Metropolitan Airport during the late afternoon hours. Winds out of the southeast at 8 miles an hour. The pressure 2991 and steady, and the humidity at 96%. Here's what we're looking at weather-wise. The heavier activity is going on to the south of it. South of us. We've had drizzle in the Detroit area since the early morning hours, but here's where the storms are right here from St. Louis southward all the way on down just to the east of the Houston area, and they're sliding in the south-southeasterly direction. As far as the Great Lakes region, you can see it a little bit thicker from here southward, kind of central portions of Michigan, also southward, and then it kind of thins out in the UP. This stuff back here is snow, and that's the part that's going to come sliding in here along about the end of the weekend or so, part of that express that Billy was talking about just a little bit ago. Rain center going on in central Illinois and Indiana. Rain throughout most of the Great Lakes regions for today. The snow beginning to build up in Minneapolis, up around North and South Dakota for tonight. Little system breaks through the states. The rain heading in the north-northeasterly direction, and also the entire system moving in an easterly direction. Snow building up, more of it back off to our west for the evening hours, but it looks like it will hold off to the west of us for tonight, and as a matter of fact, for tomorrow all the way until tomorrow night. So Saturday looks like this. The rain center parking right over Ann Arbor. Rain going on to the north of us. Rain all the way south to the Gulf of Mexico, pushing on down in through Atlanta on Saturday, and then building back up again to the west of us. Some snow from the UP down across Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska, and on in through Kansas. And as that entire system moves in an easterly direction, looks like a good possibility of snow in here for Sunday. Temperatures in the UP in the 20s and the 30s, and lower Michigan in the 30s and the 40s, 47 degrees at City Airport. Again, 50 degrees, the high temperature at Metropolitan Airport for this 21st of December, the first day of winter, and light drizzle and lots of fog going on out there. For Saturday, around the country, it looks like this. Snow here, rain here, that's us, and rain down to the Gulf of Mexico as far east as Atlanta. For Sunday, we're calling for some snow to our northwest and sliding down into the Detroit area, then the scattered showers from the New England states, pushing down through Atlanta and all the way on down in through Florida on Sunday. Mild conditions in the Mideast for our troops that are over there, 75 in northern Saudi, 73 degrees in the Persian Gulf, The Gulf of Oman, 79 degrees. Now, here's our forecast for the Detroit area, beginning with this Friday night. Low temperatures going to be on the warm side tonight for this time of year, especially 42 to 44 degrees, southerly winds. Rain will continue during the evening hours. Then for tomorrow, lots of clouds, rain, the high 46 to 48, southerly winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Here it comes. Sunday, colder, chance of snow. The high Sunday, 26 to 28 degrees, chance of snow Sunday night, and a chance of snow Christmas Eve day and Christmas Eve also in the Detroit area. I talked to Santa. In fact, we talked to Santa on the midday news here, and I told him that he would have snow on the ground and on the roofs for Rudolph.
You say you talked to Santa.
Mm-hmm.
I got to ask you something.
Okay.
You didn't get caught with Mrs. Claus under the Christmas tree by the loony who made that time. He's blackmailing you, is he?
No.
That is
Good
cute.
tie, too.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay, Lions kicker Eddie Murray, they're out in Green Bay with that storm. All you have to do is get it in the air. It's going to go a
That's right.
mile.
They'll be playing in snow tomorrow.
Oh, what
I
a
got
game
to
that's
Rodney
going to be.
Pete to get his gloves on.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
James
Rob.
going to be there?
Absolutely. He's on his way now. Well, Mount St. Helens has let out a loud burp. The question now for scientists is whether to excuse it or take it as a sign of something worse to come. The burst of a giant ash plume from the 8,300-foot mountain is described as a belch, but most do not believe a new eruption will follow. Yesterday's activity sent a light gray column of ash and steam some 23,000 feet into the air and forced the cancellation of at least 21 flights from airports from Seattle to Portland. Scientists say, if nothing else, this underscores that Mount St. Helens remains an active volcano. 57 people, you remember, died 10 years ago when the volcano blew in a huge eruption. That was in 1980.
23,000 feet. Now, that's a burp.
That's
a
pretty
burp.
high.
Yeah. There is a man in Detroit, from Detroit, who is as Detroit as a good man can be. Irish Billy Cunningham, Father William Cunningham. Handsome, happy, but a serious man for all callers who on Up Front talks about Detroit, Blanchard, Engler, Coleman, and Ernie up front with Father Cunningham next on 7.
Art Van experienced such an overwhelming response to our half off, half the store, half the day sale that we're repeating this unbelievable event. This Friday only, save half off on half the inventory. Plus, get $3,500 instant credit, no down payment, and no payments till July 4th with approved credit. And Art Van's Holiday Express guarantees delivery before Christmas. See store for details. It's this Friday only, noon to 9 only. Don't miss it at Art Van.
George Burns and O.J. Simpson for Sonosage.
My Sonosage. I use it a lot. Look, when you're 94, you have aches and pains. I haven't had someone who's 93. But O.J. Simpson really knows aches and pains.
Now when I'm hurting, I just use my Sonosage. Gives me instant relief. If they had this a few years ago, I'd still be playing.
I still am.
Sonosage, the sonic pain reliever, at these fine stores.
They're my all-time favorite gospel singing family, the Winans. Gospel Christmas celebration on the next Oprah Winfrey Show.
Oprah, weekdays at 4 on 7. The names, the choices, the conditions are perfect at MC Sporting Goods. Master the mountain with Nordica boots. Famous for comfort and high-tech innovations, Nordica is the official supplier of top ski teams. No matter how you ski, get top performance in Blizzard's computer-designed skis with bold new graphic styling. MC's experts will fit you with the right Blizzard ski. Show your ski style with a distinctive look of Tyrolia clothing. Fresh, fun Tyrolia. It's the ski wear of the 90s. This winter, ski with the best. MC Sporting Goods.
1990. What a year, eh? And it's, the Persian Gulf. We don't know what's going to happen over there. What a year for the world, for America, for Michigan, for this Detroit metropolitan area. The Weiner story, the Coleman A. Young story, the governor's race in Michigan, the governor's mind-boggling defeat, Engler and the city of Detroit. And this year isn't over yet. I mean, we are still numbed, and many of us angry over Ernie's story. Well, to talk about it all at Christmas time, at year's end, Father William Cunningham, the spirit of focus hope on tonight's Up Front. Father Cunningham, thank you so much for being with us. It's time for our annual little chat about the city, the state of the state, the state of the city, the state of humanity. First of all, what did you think about the Ernie Harwell thing? And what do you think that tells us about ourselves as a society and people?
Well, we're driven by cash values rather than human values. Certainly, it reminded me of the way the churches were closed in the city of Detroit. We announced it to people at the last minute, didn't include them in the process. We inflict too much pain on people, and we do it needlessly, and we do it for greed.
And with no sensitivity.
It's a bad move, Bill.
Yeah. But isn't there maybe a positive side to this, Father Cunningham? And that's the response of just the whole community, the whole state, which kind of would indicate that there's still some very strong basic values in our society.
You bet there are. There are loyalties among people, and we've got to begin to reflect that in the way we do business more and more.
One of the things that I found kind of interesting and disappointing regarding Detroit and its problems is that when Engler and Blanchard were running for governor, Detroit was hardly mentioned as an issue, as a challenge, as something that has to be fixed.
Playing to a poor set of values, really. Ignoring the major angst of this nation, which I think is symbolized in the city of Detroit. And it's also the center of this nation's future. So it's like watching the fall of the Roman Empire all over again, Bill. That ignoring of the major crisis of America, education, poor people, racism, and of course you can wrap that all up and tie a bow around the city of Detroit. We epitomize that more than any other piece of real estate in the world.
Well, one of the most disturbing things that came out was a report by a doctor who said that the leading cause of death of black children between the ages of 9 and 15 was murder.
That's correct.
And I didn't hear that mentioned in the gubernatorial campaign, did you?
No, nor did you hear mentioned the number of young black men and women in jails, the despicable track record of education, both locally and across the country, things that our leaders should have been attending to.
How do you read the Dennis Archer thing
well,
at this point? Now,
optimistic.
You think it's going to be soon?
I think Justice Archer is a sign of the times. I think we're going to see more and more very bright, very capable, very responsible people who will be good role models for our young people, running for office at expense to themselves, not in order to incur wealth.
Does your gut tell you that Coleman wants to stick around for the full term? What does your gut tell you, Billy?
I think the mayor of Detroit really has Detroit at heart.
Oh,
I think if Coleman Young felt that he could, there was some way of doing it, he would shake hands with Justice Archer, and there would be a fine passing along of the baton, and Archer would run the course and do a remarkable job in the remaining months and years of Mayor Young's term.
Well, months is interesting.
Months is possible. I think the mayor is a very bright man, but I think he's also a man that has his quiet moments. And I'm not saying he goes on retreat, but he sits and thinks and reflects. And when he looks at a candidate like Justice Archer, that would be a fine, fine, young, bright, good person to pass the mayoralty on to.
One thing that nobody likes to talk about out loud, and you don't back away from these things, do you have the gut feeling that unless the problems of Detroit are solved, it jeopardizes the welfare, the health of the state of Michigan?
I would have said a resounding yes to that some years ago. Today, I have to say it affects critically the health of this entire nation. I believe this city is at the helm of this nation's destiny in terms of economics, in terms of race, in terms of the resolution of the education concerns. And I look to Michigan, may seem a little bit optimistic for some of our watchers tonight, but I look to the state of Michigan to be in the leadership role. And this is going to be an extraordinary year. the year 1991.
If you had a chance to sit down with Governor-elect Engler, what would you tell him the first thing he ought to do?
I've had a chance to do that, and I think we're in concurrence. The first thing the new governor is going to do is appreciate the challenge of public education across the state of Michigan. And he's going to have extraordinary sensitivity towards the city of Detroit.
Okay, what would you like to see happen most, Billy, in this new year? For this whole area done. Now, we got about 30 seconds.
30 seconds, I would like to see our youngsters going to school like it mattered. I'd like to see our teachers going to school like it mattered. I'd like to see school 12 months a year, and I'd like to see our kids struggling to learn like that mattered. And I think that's very doable in this coming year.
You going to have midnight mass this year?
Midnight mass, well, you're invited. God bless you. I hope you come. Come at 11:30, though. That's when our choir opens up, and we'd love to have you sing along with us.
I still remember some of my Latin when I was an older boy, but that doesn't play anymore, does it?
Well, we still have a little Latin motet here and there. Will, if you come, I'll do a Latin solo for you.
Okay, Father.
God bless, Bill. And
God bless you. Happy
Christmas.
holidays. Say hello to all your pals.
Thanks. God bless.
With a solo in front of me by Cunningham, you know I'm not going to show for that thing, right? You know what's amazing about him? He never stops thinking. You can ask him anything, and he has already thought about the answer, and you don't have to telegraph it. And quite a guy, really, quite a guy. At that midnight mass, we can pray that next year, when we chat again, we'll have only positive events to discuss. Robbie?
Unfortunately, not everyone is as nice as Father Cunningham. The Grinch stole Christmas for some local kids who have a rough time of it all their lives. But today, some of the good people of Detroit are doing their best to play Santa Claus. We'll have that story and much more in just a moment.
Walk into a television showroom, and someone will probably try to sell you a set with a foreign name on it. Before you see their choice, ask to see yours. Ask to see the first TVs that combine digital video and audio, with a performance to back it up. Ask for picture-in-picture with triple flashback. Ask for a single remote that can learn to run everything. Ask to see a Zenith. For true innovation in television, quality never looked more like a Zenith.
How does Meijer seem to know just which foods you want? To be honest, they don't. So they carry about everything. So when you want unusual items like Hungarian peppers, you're sure to find them, plus your usual favorite.
Choose from 6 varieties of 14.5 to 15-ounce bags of Jay's potato chips, only $1.69. Plus any variety of Nabisco snack crackers, 7 to 10.5-ounce boxes, just $1.49.
Why shop a store where you get only what they want to sell you when you can shop Meijer and get what you want? Meijer, the store built on common sense.
Even round here, when folks started worrying about cholesterol, breakfast got kinda lean. But now the rich, hearty breakfast is back. Folks are pouring on a fresh, creamy taste with no cholesterol. Now there's Farm Rich non-dairy breakfast creamer. Farm Rich tastes fantastic on flakes, beautiful on berries, creamy in coffee with no cholesterol. Farm Rich non-dairy breakfast creamer, a fresh, creamy taste with no cholesterol.
The greatest hits of the 19th century are back. See artists like Van Gogh, Gauguin, Seurat, Rodin, and more exhibit their talents in the new 19th century European galleries at the DIA. They're back after a year's tour in Japan, so you can again enjoy hit versions by the original artists such as Degas' Dancers in the Green Room and Cézanne's Ever Popular Mont Sainte Victoire. It's the new 19th century European galleries at the DIA, and it's a classic.
There are a lot of needy families in the city of Detroit. There was a van yesterday full of Christmas presents for 23 of those needy families, and somebody stole it. The van was loaded with Christmas gifts for all of the families involved, Prompter. Let's go. It was loaded with Christmas gifts for all of the families in the Ray Human Services Child Abuse Prevention Program. But as Channel 7's John Cleacam now reports, thanks to some big-hearted people around town, the thieves were not able to steal the spirit of Christmas.
Barrett Human Services.
The phone lines at Barrett Human Services in Detroit are lighting up like Christmas trees. Most of the calls are coming from people anxious to help after a holiday heist threatened to destroy Christmas for 23 needy families.
My first reaction was anger, and
to think that someone would have the guts to walk up right in front of the family center where the van was being loaded.
The gift packages included toys, clothing, towels, sheets, presents that had been specially selected for the families and the children. The stolen vehicle is described as a red and tan 1986 15-passenger Ford van with Michigan license plate number 463RGR. Workers at Barrett hold out little hope of recovering the van's cargo of presents valued at $3,000 to $4,000, but this story may still have a happy ending.
We're really comforted, I guess would be the right word, about how Detroit is responding.
Any turkeys? Sure, we'll take some turkeys.
Indeed, offers of help and generous checks have been pouring in.
Yes.
For example, the employees of First Federal's Financial Services Department originally raised $3,500 for the program. After learning of the theft, they dug a little deeper and came up with another $700.
People just did that, just stopped what they were doing. For the moment, wallets were open, cash came out, checks were written, and here we are.
I think what's really important is that the families will also know that people cared not once, but twice. And that makes a difference to people who are struggling with little resources and not much self-esteem sometimes.
It's going to take all weekend, and Barrett workers may very well have to sacrifice their Christmas Eve, but they're determined to make Christmas happen for these 23 families, and with the generous help of Metro Detroiters, they probably will. In Detroit, I'm John Kleekamp, Channel 7 Action News reporting.
Well, apparently some teenagers got into some kind of an argument, and that is the reason for a bloody drive-by shooting in the nation's capital. It put 5 kids in the hospital. They range in age from just 6 years old to 15, just kids, really. Police arresting 3 teenage suspects today. They're looking for 2 more. They allegedly fired into a group of kids yesterday. Investigators are convinced it's the result of a fight that began about 2 weeks ago and didn't stop. They don't think it is drug-related. The police chief in Washington, D.C. suggests the shooting was over something that would have been settled by maybe a fist fight in the days before guns were so easy to get and so difficult to get rid of. Robbie?
Detroit Attorney Conrad Mallett Jr. will become one of Michigan's youngest Supreme Court justices. Governor James Blanchard today announced that he's appointing Mallett to succeed Justice Dennis Archer on the bench. Mallett is 37. He's a graduate of Cass Tech. He has served as a senior assistant to Detroit Mayor Coleman Young and was legal advisor to Governor Blanchard for 2 years.
He knows how laws are made. He knows how they are interpreted. He knows what justice is, and he has good judgment. And he has a strong sense of fair play.
This appointment represents the highest honor that can come to a Michigan attorney. I am deeply grateful to Governor Blanchard, with whom I have worked these past few years. I will approach each case with an open mind and will apply the law to the facts.
Mallett's term begins December 28th and runs until January of 1993. At that time, he will have to run for re-election if he plans to stay on the bench. And this could be a major change in where your child goes to school. Members of the State Board of Education want Michigan students to be able to attend any school in any district they choose. The board voted unanimously to make schools of choice one of their goals. Such a program would still need to be approved by the legislature. The Michigan Education Association, a teachers union, is against statewide choice because they say poor children might not have access to transportation between districts. Minnesota, though, adopted a statewide plan a few years ago, and this year more than 6,000 students are taking part. They can go to any school that has space as long as it does not upset the racial balance.
Anyway you cut it, it was murder over the skies of Lockerbie, Scotland. And the man from Dearborn, Michigan, whose son was murdered in that terrorist murder, marks a grim anniversary, trying to clear that boy's name. 2 years ago today, Pan Am Flight 103 got bombed out of the sky over Lockerbie. Khalid Jafar was among the 270 people murdered. Some reports have linked him to the bombing by suggesting that he unknowingly, innocently, carried explosives on board that plane. But Channel 7's Ken Ford reports that Nazir Jafar insists there is proof that his son is innocent.
The Pan Am who was supposed to bring my son to Detroit, alive and well, they brought him in a coffin. And instead of easing my pain, they start adding to my grief.
Nazir Jafar says he has no idea who's responsible for the terrible tragedy of Pan Am Flight 103. A terrorist bomb is believed to have blown the aircraft out of the sky over Lockerbie, Scotland 2 years ago. Jafar's son, Khaled, was one of the 270 people killed. His son has been called the prime suspect, a drug smuggler who brought the bomb on board when his luggage was mixed. The bag he brought was thought to contain a bomb.
His luggage was found intact. His body was found intact, with no traces of drug or explosives. The investigations of 3 governments have clearly substantiated my son's innocence.
But the stories won't go away. The elder Jafar says it's all lies. There's never been any proof, and he believes his son is a suspect simply because he's an Arab. In all, 270 people died in the tragedy of Pan Am Flight 103. 269 families, Nazir Jafar says, have been allowed to grieve. He now says, please, let me and my family do that too. In Dearborn, I'm Ken Ford, Channel 7 Action News reporting.
Nazir Jafar accuses Pan Am of creating a smear campaign against his son to shift blame from what he called lapses in the airline's security system. Robbie?
And coming up, the people of Iraq preparing for an attack by the United States. We'll have the latest on the crisis in the Persian Gulf when 7's Action News at 5 returns.
If you can hammer a nail, you can build a great deck like this one. If you can wire a lamp, you can install track lighting like this. If you can replace a washer, you can create a bathroom like this. I'm Bob Vila. To do great projects like these, all you need is the Home Repair and Improvement Series from Time Life Books. Start with the first volume, Kitchens and Bathrooms, at a special introductory price, just $1.99. Every volume has all the clear-cut instructions you need to take on home improvement jobs with confidence. Because page after page, America's master carpenters, plumbers, and electricians reveal their secrets with easy-to-follow, step-by-step instructions. You'll discover how simple it really is to add value to your home and save money by doing it yourself. From adding built-in shelving in a closet to installing new electrical outlets. Installing a skylight might sound difficult, but it can really be as simple as cutting a hole, installing headers, dropping in the skylight, and adding some weather stripping. It's a wonderful improvement, and its low cost will surprise you. Right now, get your first book, Kitchens and Bathrooms, at a special introductory price, just $1.99. That's less than the price of a good screwdriver. Examine the book free for 15 days. Keep it for just $1.99. Then every other month or so, you'll receive another volume, like basic wiring, plumbing, and new living spaces. Keep only the ones you want. Cancel any time. As a bonus, you'll also get this Stanley tape measure, free with your first purchase. So if you can handle just a few basic tools, you can create a home you'll be proud of with the Home Repair and Improvement Series from Time Life Books.
To examine kitchens and bathrooms free for 15 days, call 1-800-356-9800. Keep it and pay the special introductory price of just $1.99 plus shipping and handling. And when you do, you'll get this handy 12-foot Stanley tape measure free. So call 1-800-356-9800.
Is it an ancient, mysterious city, a city of culture, history, and lore? But today, the capital city of Iraq looked like a ghost town. Authorities in Baghdad staging a day-long evacuation drill beginning at 7 o'clock in the morning. More than 1 million Iraqis fled their homes. It's also reported that another 1 million people ignored the drill and stayed in their homes. Many of the evacuees carrying food, blankets, and personal documents. A similar exercise was held yesterday in Basra, the second biggest city in Iraq. If that sounds like a preparation for war, Saddam Hussein is doing nothing to suggest otherwise to his people or the world. The Iraqi president telling German television he's not going to pull his troops out of Kuwait by the January 15th deadline set by the UN. Saddam says he's willing to talk to the USA, but he also warns that his forces will defeat American GIs. He predicts the U.S. will have to pull out after 50,000 Americans have been killed. But there was equally tough talk today from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Colin Powell, who is visiting our GIs in Saudi Arabia.
War is an unpredictable thing, and one can't always be sure. But the plans we've made, and without giving any detail to those plans, but the plans we've made involve an air-land-sea campaign. When we launch it, we will launch it violently. We will launch it in a way that will make it decisive so that we can get it over as quickly as possible, and there's no question who won when it's over, so that we can then start the process of rebuilding Kuwait and sending our forces back home.
Well, 8 American GIs in Saudi Arabia may be their own worst enemies. They've been hospitalized with methanol poisoning because they drank a bad batch of homemade booze. The strict Muslim laws in Saudi Arabia forbid alcohol. All of the poisoned GIs are expected to recover. The new British Prime Minister, John Major, believes if Saddam Hussein does not get out of Kuwait on his own, the world will have to make him get out. Major is making the rounds today on Capitol Hill, wasted little time in hitting Hussein with a verbal attack. During meetings with U.S. lawmakers, Majors insisted a partial pullout simply is not going to do the job. He later told Vice President Dan Quayle that he strongly supports the American policy on the Persian Gulf crisis, and if the conflict ends in war, so be it.
If he stays in Kuwait, in a country which essentially at the moment is rather like a prison camp, a country that he's dismantling day after day, then he will have to be forcibly removed. I hope it won't come to that. Everyone hopes it won't come to that, but it could.
The Prime Minister repeated his get-tough talk with Hussein, the stance to get President George Bush. He met with the President later. Mr. Bush and Major will also discuss the Gulf crisis during an overnight stay at Camp David. The new Prime Minister will then wrap up his 40-hour U.S. visit tomorrow and then head back to London, to Britain. Robbie?
Well, the next mayor of Dearborn will be Coleman A. Young, at least for one day. Young and Dearborn Mayor Michael Guido will swap places for a day in May. That's when the Michigan Municipal League holds its annual Mayor's Exchange Day. Young has participated in the program before, but usually in small outstate towns. Dearborn has had a reputation for some racial discrimination. There is a reception and parade planned for Young during his day as mayor. No word yet on what is on the agenda for the day that Michael Guido serves in the Detroit City County building. We have another hour of Action News coming up in just a few minutes at 6, and with a preview reporting live from the newsroom, Guy Gordon.
Thank you, Robbie. Good evening, everybody. Coming up at 6 o'clock tonight, they didn't have any insurance, just their faith in God. And we'll show you a local congregation tonight that's trying to cope after their church went up in flames just days before Christmas. These stories also making news tonight.
In spite of dire predictions for a gloomy retail Christmas, stores here at 12 Oaks Mall say business is booming. I'm Frank Turner, and I'll have a live Holiday Madness report coming up on Action News.
I'm John Kleekamp. Hollywood's dreaming of a big box office Christmas. We'll preview some of the releases and try to predict the hits and misses.
And on Friday Feast tonight, what may be the best reason yet to throw the diet right out the window. A little something called Chocolate Paradise. Sounds like a nice place to visit. Those stories and much more coming up on Action News at 6. You all have a great holiday.
You too, Guy. Thank you.
Thank you, Guy. Is that the chocolate that Jim Harrington's been talking about for 12 consecutive hours throughout the hallways of Channel 7?
With no taste.
That's right. Yeah. He's got a little bit here and a little bit here yet, too, if you look
He's
very
got
closely.
that stuff stashed in attics that we haven't discovered yet. Thanks, Guy. You know, Moses is on the bench, and I tell you, the Hawks have just caught fire. One hot team from Atlanta rolling into the Palace tonight to take on the Pistons, who had a great game against the Bulls the other night. Jay Berry steps in with all the sports. 7's Action News continues in just a moment. It is now 5:44. Robbie's got 16 minutes before she's out of here.
Due to excess inventory, GMC Truck is holding a model closeout. This is a limited-time program to reduce inventory levels on 1990 Sierra pickup trucks only. The program includes $500 cash back or a competitive finance rate for qualified buyers, plus a special cash value incentive direct to dealers. Come in today and make your best deal on a 1990 Sierra pickup while supplies last. GMC Truck, it's not just a truck anymore. It's quality on the road.
Make a splash this holiday season with a gift certificate from Jack's Soft Cloth and Touchless Car Wash. We have gift certificates ranging from individual car washes to yearly wash plans. Our special holiday offer, the Jack's Gold Gift Box, 6 full-service car washes for only $33. Save $9 off the regular price. Call 353-4700 between 9 and 5 p.m. with your credit card number, and we'll mail your Jack's Gold Gift Box for you. Jack's Soft Cloth and Touchless Car Wash, 11 locations to serve you, now in Rochester Hills.
Now, ABC Warehouse, an authorized Ameritech retailer, makes cellular phones affordable for everyone. For every job that can use an instant office. For every time you need some extra peace of mind. And now, for a limited time only, save on a Spectracon portable cellular car phone with 3 full watts of power for only $77 or less. Wherever you drive, keep in touch with Ameritech cellular service from ABC Warehouse. It's the closest thing to wholesale.
We had a giant by the name of Konchak for about 12 minutes, and then the Hawks, what, they offered him $35–40 million.
Big bucks.
Big bucks.
Big
Now
bucks.
he's playing regular, right?
That's right, and making that deal looking very sweet indeed. Should be a very, very interesting matchup tonight. Good evening, everybody. Yes, a very interesting matchup at the Palace. Atlanta has reshuffled its lineup. Moses and Kevin Willis are coming off the bench, and John Konchak and former Michigan standout Kevin Willis are starting. The results? The Hawks have reeled off 8, let's make that 6 straight wins. Don't give them too many here, including last night's 105-87 victory over Utah, and the final score is not a real indication of just how lopsided this game really was. Chuck Daly was taking notes. His team destroyed the Hawks less than a month ago, but Daly doesn't expect a cakewalk tonight.
They put some glue together is what they've done. Sometimes less is more in a lot of ways. Moses is playing well off the bench. Konchak is playing like Rodman at center. And a lot of people thought we were crazy when we made that offer to him, but we had a pretty good idea of what he was capable of doing. And he's doing a great job in the middle. And they're playing very well together. I've talked to 2 or 3 prominent people in the league who've seen him lately and say they're playing as well as they've ever seen Atlanta play. Last night they have Utah down 30. So it should be a very good basketball game.
2 weeks ago, the Lions lost to the L.A. Raiders 38-31 on Monday Night Football. A week ago, a Sunday night matchup against the Bears produced a 38-21 victory. In a rare Saturday afternoon contest tomorrow, they take on the Green Bay Packers. What's the significance? That's a good question. We can expect a lot of points, I guess, and in the end, the Lions hope they can be a roadblock in the Packers' playoff drive.
Well, they always play us tough, and they're coming off a pretty humiliating loss, and I'm sure they're going to be fired up. And it's going to be cold, just a typical NFC battle. And we're not going to go lay down, so it's going to be a fight.
You know, they got a good team. They got problems with Mikowski out. And, you know, that's hurting their offense, and their defense is real good. But what we need to do, we need to go out and execute in the cold. And, you know, the receivers need to catch the ball, and we know Barry's going to run the ball real well. And just do what we do, and I feel that we have a good chance of winning the game.
I think it's going to be a kind of a fun game. It'll be outdoors. It'll be cold. You know, it's Christmas time. I think they got a chance for the playoffs for playing good football. I just think it's going to be a enjoyable game to play in as well as watch.
And it's going to be cold. Chicago Bears rookie Fred Washington was killed in an auto accident early this morning. Washington is a defensive tackle out of Texas Christian University. According to reports, Washington's car jumped a curb in the Chicago suburb of Lake Forest around 2:30 this morning. Washington and a female companion were both killed instantly when the car struck a tree. Well, the best record at home in the NHL got a little bit better last night as the Wings whipped Winnipeg 3-1. That's 15 wins and just 5 losses at Joe Louis Arena, if you're counting. Steve Chason gave the Wings a 1-0 lead. Then that exciting rookie, Sergei Fedorov, breaks a 1-1 tie in the second with his 17th goal. Yzerman collects his 20th in the third. 2 more points, but it's hard to gain ground on Chicago and St. Louis.
A couple of elite teams are in this division. Chicago and St. Louis played extremely well against everybody in the league. Hard-working, very deep hockey team. The only way we're going to make up ground is play consistent and when we meet them, have a chance to beat them and move a couple points each time. But the bottom line for us right now, I think, is just to play well, to stay competitive and hopefully improve so that come the latter part of the year, we're a serious candidate for any playoff round.
Pittsburgh Penguins have traded Rob Brown to Hartford for another right winger, Scott Young. He was the Whalers' first-round pick in '86. Brown is off to a slow start after scoring 33 goals and being involved in 47 assists last season. And now we're going to turn to Robbie for that weather report in Green Bay tomorrow.
Did you hear what Rob Kress was saying? It's going to be snow, below zero temperatures, you know, strong winds. And it's outdoor stadium.
And a real test for the run and shoot. So that means Barry Sanders should get the ball at least 20 to 25 times, right, Bill?
Jimmy got a St. Bernard dog with him?
He needs one, doesn't he?
I don't want to say that Malone is not a team player, but the last time that Moses passed the ball, he was wandering around the desert looking for the promised land. So now he's on the bench, right?
They call it going into the hole. Once it goes in, it never comes out.
Thanks, Jay. Well, we've all heard stories about how the people of New York will walk by a person dying on the sidewalk without a second look, but that was not the case in the Big Apple last night. There was a good Samaritan. One of the stories when 7th Action News at 5 continues.
Tis the season to be sharing.
Give the best of everything.
Feel the spirit this holiday season as the folks at Kroger wish you the very best of everything.
Let's go Krogery. Let's go Krogery. Let's go Krogery.
You have just got to get this thing.
You've got to get this thing.
Prodigy. It's a great gift for anyone with a PC.
You wouldn't believe the number of uses that it has.
I do my shopping at home. I do my banking at home.
I don't have to wait in the line.
Prodigy now has a 21-volume electronic encyclopedia that's updated quarterly.
Awesome. My son sent me flowers through Prodigy.
Prodigy is the online service that connects your computer to news, shopping, sports, and now an encyclopedia that never goes out of date.
Gotta get this thing.
Now that's a great gift.
Prodigy.
It's in stores everywhere.
Sharing, it's the icing on the cake. From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Buying someone the right sports gift isn't easy. And buy them the wrong gift and they'll probably still feel obligated to use it. But now Herman's can help with special tags marking the world's most wanted sports gifts in every department. The most wanted gift for the slam dunker on your list is the Spalding Superflight basketball. We've slammed the price down to just $24.99. So this year, get the right reaction. Get the world's most wanted sports gifts at the world's most wanted prices at Herman's.
You just never know what's going to happen in a big city, particularly the Big Apple. Two people just walking down the street. Probably the difference between life and death for a 2-month-old baby in New York. An apartment in Brooklyn caught fire. The mom started screaming in a desperate effort to save her little girl. Two people who were walking by looked up, heard the screams, and used a coat to catch the child when Mom dropped the baby from the 4th-floor window. The woman suffered severe burns. The little girl is okay. She's home with her dad.
Right now, I'm very thrilled that, she's with me and that God let me keep her, I just hope I get my wife, soon home also.
Now the mother, 20-year-old Suzanne Morales, remains in intensive care with 1st and 2nd-degree burns she suffered while saving her baby. Robbie?
And the vigil to rescue a Missouri woman goes on today, even though she does not wish to be saved. 2 new rulings in the right-to-die case of Nancy Cruzan have denied requests to reconnect the woman's feeding tube. She was taken off food and water 7 days ago after her parents won a long court battle. Cruzan has been in a vegetative state since suffering brain damage in a car accident 7 years ago. Right to Life groups and other demonstrators continue to rally in a race against time. Without her feeding tube, Cruzan will die. It's expected within 2 weeks. Former co-workers of the woman testified that she told them she would not want to live in a vegetative state.
I don't know if you've ever been there, but there are more con artists in Las Vegas than there are on Wall Street, which is to say there's a lot of takers out in Vegas, but there's also a great giver. We'll have his story in just a moment.
Now you can get custom crafted glasses in about an hour at these convenient Lens Crafters locations. So 1 hour eyewear is just around the corner. In Shelby Corners, across from Lakeside near Target and the Westland Center. At each of these locations, our in-store labs can custom craft your glasses in about an hour. Just 1 hour. Lens Crafters in Shelby Corners across from Lakeside near Target, the Westland Center in Arcade 5 next to Lafayette Coney Island, and 6 other convenient locations. Call 1-800-522-LENS.
Sherman Shoes presents our most popular Florsheim shoes and those magical words, 20% off. In black or cordovan calfskin, Florsheim Legacy wingtips are regularly $90. Now just $71.99 for a limited time at Sherman Shoes. Call 1-800-421-SHOE for credit card orders or the Sherman's location nearest you. Sherman Shoes. We're in most major malls and hundreds of conference rooms.
My cereal tastes boring, bland, and not so good, but it's high in fiber.
My cereal tastes tempting, terrific, and very good. And it's high in fiber.
Really? What is that?
Fruit and fiber.
Ah, fruit and fiber.
With all those delicious crunchy oat clusters, juicy raisins, dates, and crispy walnuts, it tastes terrific.
Delicious.
And it's high in fiber, too.
Great tasting post-fruit and fiber cereal. Why would you want your fiber any other way?
In his new movie, Robert De Niro only plays a patient who wakes up from a 30-year sleep. Now, Entertainment Tonight has got the inside story on the real-life awakenings that inspired this critically acclaimed film.
It gives it a reality that it's beyond some sort of dramatic truth.
And find out why, even for a superstar like De Niro, this was a tough role.
To imagine your whole body is just like stiff, like a mummy.
Real-life awakenings, the inside stories on the next Entertainment Tonight.
That's E.T. weeknights at 7:30 on Channel 7.
Now, don't hop a plane and fly out there, but this guy's a mystery man who tools around in a brand new caddy every year about this time. But to more than 1,000 poor people in Las Vegas, this guy is a real-life Santa Claus, and he's consistent. The mystery man will not tell anybody who he is, no name, no address, no phone number. But every year, around Christmas time, he tools up to the Midnight Mission in Vegas, hops out of his brand new caddy with a couple of pals, and they start handing out the cash. The mystery man and his helpers peeled off $10 bills, brand new bills by the stack, giving them away to the people who call Skid Row home. And then when the money runs out, it's goodbye till next year. This time around, this amateur anonymous Santa handed out $11,000 in cash. The director of the Midnight Mission says the event provides excitement for some otherwise dull, frequently hopeless lives. As he put it, it isn't the $10, it's Santa's coming, that kind of a feeling. I'd like to meet that guy
Even in Las Vegas. I mean, you don't think of, that much good in Las Vegas.
I guess the spirit kind of touches everybody.
Yeah, sure does. Good story.
Diane and Guy step in next. 7's Action News rolls along at 6. You have a good, pleasant, peaceful evening. See you at 11. Good night, everybody. And good night, Robbie.
And good night, and have a good holiday.
You have a super one,
Yeah,
my dear.
you too. Have a good holiday, and if you're driving, drive safely.
Action News continues with Gordon, Lewis in for Bisco, Barry in for Shane, Hodak and Detroit's #1 news team.
Brighten your holidays with NBD's Christmas Festival of Music on WJOI FM 97. 39 hours of continuous music starting 9 a.m. Christmas Eve.
Look like a million, save a small fortune. Come to Chudik's Spectacular Fur Sale. It's happening now at Chudik's.
Don't miss Famous Footwear's store-wide half-price sale. Buy any pair, get a second pair of comparable value for half price. Now at Famous Footwear.
You feel the spirit, it's happening in Detroit. Come on, let's hear it. We're with you, Detroit. No holding back now, on the right track now. You're at the heart of it, Maryland's a part of it. Stand up and tell them you're from Detroit. Stand up, tell them. Stand up and tell them you're from Detroit.
It's simple, Vern. Those ABC warehouse folks can't be running all over town to see who's got the lowest prices. So they guarantee their low prices for life. Not just Thursday, the 2nd, or Friday, the 10th. And if the price tag isn't low enough, ABC will lower it, and you'll pay even less. And that's what that or less means. They'll even give you $1,000 if they can't beat your best deal. It's as simple as ABC. Know what I mean?
Right now at ABC Warehouse, get this RCA Color TV for only $223 or less.
A look back and ahead with Governor Jim Blanchard, Sunday on Spotlight.
From Michigan's #1 news station, this is Channel 7's 6 o'clock Action News with Guy Gorton, Diana Lewis in for Doris Bisco, and Detroit's first news team.